Blueberries, a sure sign of summer. They come in about May and they last till about October, and it's a berry you should not miss. It is the simplest berry to fix. It's the simplest one to keep. Let's see how we can get it that's not fresh first, because then you can have it all year round. Down here I have them in cans. They just have blueberries and syrup. This one has a light syrup, some come with heavy syrup and some come in water. And then we have the pie filling, which is ready. Just put it in a pie or spread it in a pan and put cobbler topping on top. Delicious. And then there is dried. As you can see, they've got dried. I brought out the cranberries because blueberries and cranberries are both false berries. They're really little round things. And here they have it, blueberries in with other with cherries and raspberries. This is a really good one too. And having them dried on hand, you can reconstitute them, and then you can use them in recipes just like the fresh berries. And once you reconstitute them, they don't taste so tangy as the berries do once they're dried. But some of the nutrients are actually, like increased when they're dried in some of the berries. And then we have frozen berries. Now this is plain blueberries in the bag. They're delicious and they're great to eat just out of the bag. And this is a great way to get berries to put them in your muffins and in your baked goods, because then they're frozen and they won't bleed so much into your batter. And then they have them mixed with other berries. The other berries, if you remember, is raspberries and blackberries, and those, they have the little seeds on the outside. Well, blueberries don't have that. They're solid. So let's talk about our fresh berries. The fresh blueberry, when you're selecting it, is very seldom loose. What they're going to have you do is buy a box. And because they're fragile, they need to be in a box. So when you go to buy it, now this is a big one, you need to move the box around to be sure that they move. If they're stuck to the box and they don't roll around, they're probably old. They've probably not been kept well. So you don't want to buy them unless they move around. Now that's the same thing that's true with the frozen. When you get in the frozen food section, you want to be sure that they're loose in there. And at first, they might be a little stiffer. But if they are in big clumps, that means that they have been frozen and re-thawed. Thawed and refrozen. So you don't really want to get those because they're going to be big clumps of them. But if they're moving around in both the other bag, the box and the bag, then you're okay. And the other thing I do is I smell them. If you smell through the holes on the side, you can tell if there's mold inside. And that's really important, and especially in the bigger boxes. And as you can tell, I've taken some out of this to put in this little bowl for us today. Now, when you're selecting them, the other thing to notice is that some people don't know what this white stuff is. It looks like it's on the outside, and that's called bloom. And it actually protects your berries. And that's the reason why you do not want to wash them before. You want to wash them right when you're going to use them, not later. Because the bloom, once you wipe that off, is going to start helping the berries deteriorate. Now, this was a great deal. To get this big box of berries was a great deal. But, and they were really good. They're really good price because right now is the peak season for them. So to keep them for later, there's a really easy way to keep them frozen. And let me show you how to do that. You take a pan that can go into the freezer. You pour the berries into the pan, and then you kind of look through them to be sure that they're all nice. And you take out any that are not all, this is really nice. You can tell they're really fresh. And most of our berries are grown in Michigan and New Jersey, believe it or not. But there's also some up in the Northwest. And if you'll notice, there's some reddish ones in here. Let me show you again. These reddish ones, I don't know if you can see that. That means they're not quite ripe. They start out as green, they turn red, and then they turn blue. Now, after these are frozen, solid, then you just want to put them into a plastic bag and keep them in the freezer. And that way you can have berries until they're gone. And this is one of the best storing berries there is because it's so solid and the skin is tough enough that it can take all of this and still taste good for you when you go to use it. Now, one of the things that people have asked me several times is, what is the difference between a blueberry and a huckleberry? and the blueberry is green inside. See that? I don't know if you can see that, there's so little. But just green inside. When you do that to a huckleberry, it's red inside. And that's the main difference on them. Otherwise, they look pretty much the same. So here's cranberries. And they actually look just like blueberries, except they're red. And if you look on the end of a blueberry, there's a little star. There's a 5-pointed star. And there's some myths about how they got here and they saved people from starving in the native days. And then here are the other berries. These are mixed berries. And if you look at the blueberry and the cranberry, they're exactly alike. They're the same shape, they're round. And then we have cherries in here too. But the blueberry and the cranberry are related, and that's the reason why they come off near the end of the season, like the end of summer and into the fall. Now, blueberries most of their nutrients are actually in the skin. They're a very, very healthy berry. So you really want to eat them raw, and some people want to take some of the skin off, and the best thing to do is to puree it so that the skin gets chopped up inside the puree, because that's where most of your nutrition is. Now, there is the blueberry does contain oxalates, and so in case you're kind of sensitive to those, you might not want to eat a lot, or you may not want to eat any, but they are very, very nutritious. July is the blueberry month in the United States. So in July you can celebrate. I wonder if that's because they're blue. When you're washing the blueberries, let me show you you want to be sure to treat them gently. And so what I do is I would take some, and you have to kind of gently pick them up. And then you put them in a bowl, and you would fill the bowl, and then you would just lift them off. And I have to say, with all of the stuff in the produce sections these days, and the way they box things now, the produce is just not as dirty as it used to be, and that wasn't that long ago. So I would suggest that, and sometimes you may not even need to wash it, just look at it and see if it's dirty or not. And if you just a quick dunk in the water would really help. So go to my website and find out more about the blueberry.